Get ready for MAFDOMiNUS' Godzillathon! Honestly, I've been debating with myself on whether or not I should include this movie on our Godzillathon. On one hand, this movie is officially trademarked and copyrighted as Godzilla. Hell, Toho gave the A-OK on calling this movie Godzilla before they changed their mind, so by all legal means, it's a Godzilla movie. But on the other hand, a lot of people disown this movie as being a part of the franchise, and not only that, but does it really live up to its name, Godzilla? No, they just took the God out of Godzilla. So you can see why I've been debating with myself on whether or not I should include this movie on Godzillathon. But after talking with myself, and only myself because I have no friends, I finally decided, you know what, it's called Godzilla, so you might as well give a review on this. In the early 1990s, Toho gave the American rights to Godzilla to TriStar to make an American-produced Godzilla movie, and even though the movie didn't bomb at the box office, it didn't exceed Sony's expectations, and it was considered a failure. Not only that, but it was critically panned by both critics and G-fans alike. But why was it critically panned by G-fans? Well, there's a little backstory on that. You see, G-fans were the most oppressed minority back then. They were pretty much the only people that liked Godzilla movies. Most people just seemed to assume that Godzilla movies were like, yeah, guys in rubber suits, bad dubbing, yeah, just cheesy, dumb, bad movies. That's what a lot of people seem to think Godzilla was. And I wouldn't blame them for most Godzilla movies, but most Godzilla movies were actually good movies. So it was kind of a big deal to make Godzilla mainstream and, actually popular in America. But unfortunately, it failed. But why did it fail? Well, aside from the fact that people just don't seem to like this movie, take a look at Godzilla. I mean, like I said, they took the God out of Godzilla, and it's just Zilla. Seriously, Zilla looks nothing like the traditional Godzilla. I mean, aside from the fact that he has spikes on his back, he's a reptile, and, well, he makes the Godzilla roar. Other than those characteristics, none of the core characteristics are on this design. He's just too much of a theropod dinosaur to be considered an actual Godzilla. I mean, I'll admit, the design itself isn't bad. In fact, I actually like the design. But it's not the design I would call Godzilla. Seriously, it looks nothing like Godzilla. So you can see why a lot of G fans were really pissed at this movie. It had more in common with the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms than it did Godzilla. So, yeah, you can see why not many people seem to like this movie. And you're probably thinking that I'm going to join the bandwagon and I'm going to say, yeah, this movie sucks. I'm going to tear it apart. But I honestly have a soft spot for this movie. Okay. Don't get me wrong, I know there are some huge flaws in this movie, but at the end of the day, I can overlook those flaws and enjoy Godzilla 1998. I mean, sure, it's not the real Godzilla, but it is a pretty cool monster, it's a good action flick, and I even can relate to the main character, Nick Totopoulos, who's a nerd just like me. Hell, the special effects are actually pretty good in certain shots, and there's a lot of practical effects in this movie. There's a scene where there's an animatronic Godzilla grabbing a truck, and yeah, there's a lot of practical shots in this movie, and honestly, I can understand where the plot is coming from. So, despite the fact that there are some objective flaws in this movie that I cannot deny, I still have to admit, I like this movie. I have a soft spot for this movie. It's just that I don't consider this movie a Godzilla movie because it just misses the point of Godzilla. I mean, Godzilla is supposed to be a representation of a nuclear bomb, the threats and fears of nukes and stuff like that, but here, Godzilla is just an animal. He's just a creature that just wants to make a nest to raise its family, and it's just steers away too much from the original Godzilla. I mean, yes, Godzilla did have a son, but he never got pregnant. I mean, yeah, he gets pregnant in this movie. And no, Godzilla's not a girl. He's a guy who gets pregnant. How does that work? How does a male get pregnant? Don't question it, alright? The point is, this isn't a real Godzilla movie. But at the end of the day, I can overlook the flaws and I can say that I do enjoy and I like this movie. It's just not a Godzilla movie. They took the God out of Godzilla, so yeah. Fun fact, the original script for this American movie was called Godzilla vs. the Griffin, where Godzilla would have stayed to his true self and would have faced off a monster called the Griffin, which is a cross between a leopard and a bat. Why did they scrap this movie? I have no idea. In fact, I even heard it was originally supposed to be either King Ghidorah or Mothra. That would have been awesome! But I guess only in an alternate universe, because what we got is what we got.